Ashe, greetings and goodwill to you all once again, my fellow natural, native, earthly humans the world over. Yes, by now you don't know that this is yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. And welcome to part 19, yes, the continuation of my series of talks titled, Can Africa Be Set Free? Can Burkina Faso, the land of upright people, the land of people of integrity, the land of Ibrahim Traore, be set free? Now, if you haven't yet watched or listened to part 1 through to part 18 of this series, I ask that you please do so before going forward with this part 19, or that you please do so as soon as possible. You may learn, by doing so, you may learn something. You may be reminded of something or about something, or at the very least, you may get something to think about, something to even criticize or to prove on the contrary or prove factual, whatever. And please note that I did not say that by listening to yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher, you will learn something, but that you may learn something. The truth be told, these talks, these presentations are definitely not for everyone. I am well aware of the possibility, if not the fact, that some of you might be offended by the truth, or more correctly, by the facts that I am bringing forth. But as the late Robert Nesta Marley once said, or said in one of his songs, one of his most famous songs called Jaliv, and I quote, he said, the truth is an offense, but not a sin, unquote. And as the late Dale Carnegie once said, and I quote, those convinced against their will are of the same opinion still, unquote. And for the record, I like to repeat this, for the record, I'm not a con. You know, I think carefully about any word that begins or even ends with con. I'm not a con. And neither am I trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to convert or to convince anyone. I am just sharing another perspective. And of course, by now you know a lot of things. I want to take the opportunity also to thank a lot of you young folks that are in the TikTok world and are following me and commenting, liking, and sending me best wishes. I appreciate you guys, for old boy to know that some of you young, brilliant youngsters are listening to me. I'm glad, because I told you I'm on my way out, you know. The future belongs not to I, the Mystic Philosopher. Yes, a countdown with upon right now. So I'm glad that I can share something, and some of you are picking it up and are learning more and saying more. There are some channels that I came across here, right? Especially one sister by the name of Real Talk Jamaican, something, JA, something like that. Man, she's a nanny, she's on fire. I'm so proud of you young people. Trust me, I did not know that I would see the day come when so many young people are just waking up. There's one of my songs called Awake, Sleepy Soul. Awake and take your stance. I'll play it for you all day, or you can look it up on my YouTube channel. But anyhow, let me get back to my talk, you know. Thus far and during the course of sharing with you via the past 18 presentations, or 18 talks of this series, I presented you with some facts that from my perspective, no one in his or her right mind would publicly deny. Though of course, they may oppose me saying them. Yeah, of course, I understand that. But I can't deny them. For example, here are some of the facts that I have shared with you. Facts mean you can logically deduce it and come to it if you are thinking human. And number one, I shared with you the fact that my natural, native, earthly, human source and ancestors commonly known to us that are in the know as our most honorable African ancestors from and on the motherland, originally and rightfully called Alkebuland. I shared with you the fact that they were not created by the Adamic race, gods, aka a group of gods called Elohim. Look up the word Elohim, you see that group of gods. In fact, they were not created by any god at all. Thus, unlike the Adamic race of humankind, they were not creatures. Anything that is created is known as what? Creatures. And we, their ascendants, are not creatures. Note I didn't say we, their descendants, because we are never descending. We are always ascending. In any direction, we ascend. So we are not creatures either, but that they were, and they are, and shall forever be natures. Nature, aka our mother nature, meaning from and belonging to her. We are from our mother nature and we belonging to her mother nature, in whom, or if you prefer, in it, or in what we live, breathe, and have our being, our existence. And she has no beginning, and she has no end. Thus, we, the natural, native, earthly human, has no beginning, and we have no end. And that is why those creatures that are unnatural, aka those anti-nature creatures, those anti-natural creatures, they cannot understand or overstand when we talk to our source and our ancestors who are here, there, and everywhere. For your information, my enlightened African brothers and sisters, anything or anyone that is created, as in the case of the Adamic race of humankind, aka the creatures, has a beginning. And anything that has a beginning also has what? An end, yes. The beginning and the end. And those of us that are in the know, we honor and give thanks. And we are honoring and giving thanks to our source. The source from whence we came to be here at this time in our Mother Earth's history. Those of us that are in the know, we honor and give thanks. We are honoring and giving thanks to our ancestral gods. Gods, to our ancestral gods, orishas, and to Ashe, the energies and the spirit of our most honorable African ancestors. Yes, we give thanks. And we are giving thanks to them that the end of all these creatures is at hand. Yes, the end of imperialism equal colonialism equal demonism, which is equal to devilism, or to summarize it, the end of the imperialists and colonialists, their abomination and their unadulterated wickedness is at hand. The wind of change that is preceding the end or preceding their end, guess what? It's blowing in the air. The spirit of Shango, the spirit of Ogun, the spirit of Dambala, Oshun, Iligwa, aka Ishu, Abatala, Oshun, Orisha, the goddess of divinity, love, beauty, and destiny, has arisen on the continent of Alkebuland, and it is blowing furiously through the diaspora as well. Stay tuned, be prepared to receive and to act in the spirit of our most honorable ancestors. And those of us that are in the know, we know it, we can feel it, we can smell it, we can sense it, we can taste it. And in our hearts and in our souls, We are rejoicing over it and giving thanks to our source and most honorable ancestors for it. And they, the unnatural ones, the anti-nature's one, our enemies know that their end is at hand. They know that their foundation that was and is built upon lies, deception, and unadulterated wickedness is not only shaking, is not only being exposed or is exposing, crumbling and tumbling down. And that is why they are panicking and are trying to do everything, are doing everything that they can think of and can imagine to try and survive the retribution, the just retribution that is coming upon them and that will befall them. In order for the creatures to exist, they have to feed off natures. Natures don't need creatures in order to exist. For example, Africa don't need those imperialists elsewhere to survive. But that's another topic. No, natures don't need creatures in order to exist. But creatures need natures. And now, hopefully, you know, understand, and understand why the Adamic race of humankind, the imperialists and colonialists, are so parasitic. In all practical reality, they are parasites that can only survive on us. Believe it. For those of you, my listeners, that do not know what a parasite is and what parasites are, let me read you 2 quotes from an online dictionary on the meaning and definition of a parasite, so you understand what I'm talking about. Quote number 1. A parasite is an organism that lives in or lives on an organism of another species, which is also known as its host. And it benefits by what? Deriving nutrients at the other's expense. I think I wrote parasite when you think of these imperialists. Number 2, a person, another definition of a parasite, is a person who habitually relies on or exploits others and gives nothing in return, unquote. Parasite, which other word you know that best describe these imperialists that has been, for in order for them to survive, they have to suck the blood, the energy, the organs, the knowledge, the life, the everything from us, the natural ones. In order for the Adamic race of humankind, the imperialist race, the colonialist race, aka the creatures, to survive, it is through war, through force, through invasion, through deception, through domination, through abomination, exploitation. In summary, it is through imperialism and colonialism. That is who and what they are. In fact, according to their own Adamic race history and holy book, that is why they were created. That is what they were created by their creator God, their Elohim, for and to be. These creatures cannot help themselves. Try as some of them may, they are genetically predisposed to do and be exactly what they are doing and being. And I quote from the Adamic Race History and Holy Book another time. Please check it for yourself. And I quote from the book called Genesis chapter, and I'm reading from Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26 to 28. And I quote, then God said, the Elohim that created them said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the air. What kind of domination? Our birds in the air can't be fly free anymore. So anyway, I want to stray from this. Over the fish in the sea and the birds in the air, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind, a kind of, in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. I wish I had time to get into all this and share some more on it. However, rule over the fish. Can you imagine? The fish in the sea. Look how far the fish are from land. The rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves up on the ground. Unquote. Can you imagine? Genesis 1:26-28. I just read from the New International Version, NIV. So now, hopefully, now you see the true definition of, which I mentioned earlier, of imperialism and color is right here in your eyes. But guess what? You couldn't see it because, anyhow. So now, hopefully, you know. Hopefully, you've seen and know why they have been, why they have to have us melanated carbon people around, we the natural native earthly humans around, and why, as much as they run up their mouths, they simply can't survive without us. The parasites can't live without us. Now you know why they can't do without Africa, Mother Africa, El Cubalan. You see how desperate they are? They were trying to do whatever they can to subdue, to eliminate, to unalive our dear leader, Ibrahim Traore. But the ancestors are all around. They can't touch that. Yeah, I mean, they can't. Let's not even go there. So now you know why they can't do without Africa. Now you know why they can't survive without Africa. They can't. But that topic is beyond the scope of this talk, this presentation right now. Now, in the interest of time, please join me in part 20 because I can't. Please join me in part 20 for the continuation of Can Africa be set free? Can Burkina Faso be the land of upright people be set free? In the meantime and between time, here's willing, not wishing, but willing that you, my listeners, be more and much, much more. And definitely not be less. Don't let it trick you. I'll talk about the word be less for you sometime. Stay tuned. Don't let no one be less you. Right? But just be more in your becoming. Or you must becoming something. Becoming more. We'll talk about that another time. For I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe. 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 I, the Mystic Philosopher, I say. Thanks for listening.